In the Bible, the book of Numbers, chapter 21, verses 4 through 9, quote, "And they journeyed from Mount Hor," it's H-O-R, "by the way of the Red Sea, to compass the land of Edom, and the soul of the people was much discouraged because of the way. And the people spake against God and against Moses, Wherefore have ye brought us out of Egypt to die in the wilderness? For there is no bread, neither is there any water, and our soul loatheth this light bread. And the Lord sent fiery serpents among the people, and they bit the people, and much people of Israel died. Therefore the people came to Moses and said, We have sinned, for we have spoken against the Lord and against thee. Pray unto the Lord that he take away the serpents from us. And Moses prayed for the people. And the Lord said unto Moses, Make thee a fiery serpent, and set it upon a pole, and it shall come to pass that everyone is bitten when he looketh upon it shall live. And Moses made a serpent of brass, and put it upon a pole, and it came to pass that a serpent had bitten any man. When he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. Now this passage is from the King James Version Bible, and as we all know, the Bible is one of the most heavily edited and propagandized books, and this edit is clearly detracting from the truth on purpose. But the winged serpent, or the serpent that was constructed, was a winged serpent or a seraph. And the fiery serpents that is being talked about probably or most likely is the desert heat, or feelings of anger, or perhaps depression or something like that. And it does say that they were discouraged because of the way. So this passage is obfuscating from the most obvious fact, and that is that a winged seraph was constructed, which would alleviate the feelings of the people, and it represents the promised land. Now, when we look at the promised land, we come to the Americas, which, lo and behold, represent the shape, or at least the continent, of the Americas. That's all the Americas, from the southern point of Argentina to the most northern point of Canada, represents the figure of a winged serpent. Probably few things could be more obvious. The winged serpent, seraph, or the Americas, whatever you wish to call it, is currently being poisoned. So that's hence the name, the poisoning of the promised land. First, we will look at the poisoning of tobacco and the withdrawal symptoms of nicotine, or the effects, which include cravings, of course, depression, anxiety and restlessness, irritability, difficulty breathing, difficulty of sleep, and appetite and weight gain. And of course, the symptoms could vary, considering it is a drug that will affect people differently. Next, with drinking, as many people know, with excessive drinking, this could lead to being what is commonly referred to as being hungover, and is actually alcohol withdrawal, which include a state of confusion, hallucinations, agitation, fever, convulsions, and blackouts, among other things. You can, of course, have people go into comas from extreme alcohol withdrawal symptoms and other things which aren't listed here. Now, most people would say that when you wake up from a hangover, one of the best ways to alleviate this is with a drink of alcohol, a small drink in the morning. This is what is commonly referred to as the hair of the dog, and is said to remove the symptoms of a hangover, which reflect, of course, being sick, or people often refer to as being sick, fever, and other things. And then, if we want to look at some of the things that we incorporate into our body on a daily basis that we might have withdrawal symptoms from, or side effects, we should look at the ingredients list of many everyday products. An example of this can be found in the Optimum Nutrition Serious Mass Gainer, which is a protein powder for exercising and gaining muscle mass. On the back, we get a series of information facts, and at the bottom is a very important section called Other Ingredients, in which we find the ingredient maltodextrin, among other horrible things that they include in this. Now, when we look at the side effects of maltodextrin, they are pretty self-explanatory. And it says that you can cause a rash or skin irritation, asthma, cramping, or difficulty breathing, among other things. It's a particularly nasty substance, and there are many others like it. But of course, they say that it is found in everyday food items, but not in such a concentrated level, I suppose. And then moving on to heroin, nastier substance, or alleged to be nastier. When we look at a heroin overdose, according to the NIH, it is a dangerous and deadly consequence of heroin use. And of course, this doesn't mention that you could possibly be injected with heroin without your knowledge. CIA has got a long track record of using certain substances and other things against people's knowledge. Well, the individuals in CIA, Nazis, and other people that like to conduct human experiments without people's knowledge. But anyway, a large dose of heroin depresses heart rate and breathing to such an extent that a user cannot survive without medical help. Those words, of course, are strange and seem odd for a person to refer to such a thing in that way. But the depression of heart rate and breathing is very important, especially when it relates to a certain person named Tiff who fainted and then disappeared after taking a certain substance that shall not be named and is censored. And then when we look at a similar circumstance, we look at a representative in the U.S. corporate government who was pushing that certain substance that will not be named, and where he stated that his daughter had been fully substanced with that thing. And then, of course, when we look at the certain effects of that thing, we find some similarities, such as nausea and vomiting, fever, headache, muscle pain or body ache, pain, swelling, redness, and warmth at certain area. And then, of course, under the severe effects, they list basically the same things, or repeat list: fever, chest discomfort or breathing difficulties, headache, stroke-like symptoms, bruises or bleeding spots, skin rash, vomiting, seizure, or unconsciousness. And of course, these are listed as severe, but also listed as not severe, so that's kind of interesting. And then recently, we find out that the daughter of that certain representative in the U.S. corporate government is no longer with us. And if one were to look deeper into that, they would find some similar side effects to substances previously listed. Now, what should we do about this? Well, an answer can be found in the product known as ashwagandha, which comes from nature, unlike most pharmaceutical or artificial constructs, although at some point everything comes from a natural source. But this ashwagandha thing can be found in tablets and pills. And then when we look at all of the propaganda and see what they say about it, they do clandestinely admit one thing, and that's that ashwagandha might prove over-the-counter drugs to be ineffective. And for this reason, they would say that it is unsafe. And then more about this topic and what can be done can be found at Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And then also in previous videos, I did talk about the clandestine poisonings and other things that have been done, especially when it comes to resources like the air and water and plant life and the earth.